Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, if you're a leader or you're climbing the ladder and want to become a leader, you're not going to want to miss this next episode. We're going to teach you how to talk to your team more effectively. Next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I would submit to you that we have a leadership crisis in this country, in corporate America. Study after study shows that people don't quit companies, they quit bad bosses. To talk about that today, Heather Lisle. She is the founder of the Leadership Lab. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, I want to hear your journey. So you didn't start out.
No.
Yeah.
I did not just start out doing this. It's so interesting. My background is actually before I opened up my own shop, so to speak, I was chief of public affairs for a statewide elected official in my home state of Oklahoma. Wow. Probably one of the most fascinating and interesting jobs I've ever had in my life. Wow. The types of people that came in and out of my office on a daily basis, government officials, C-suite level people. I was in public education, so superintendents, parents, right, teachers, kids, you name it, nonprofit partners, that kind of thing. And most all of the time, somebody was upset about something happening in public ed, right? I mean, that's very real considering today's day and time as well, too. It hasn't changed much. And I remember just my personality is that I want to be able to understand, like, okay, what's the root cause? What's going on here? Why is this person upset? How can I connect with them in a meaningful way? Yes. So they feel listened, heard, understood, seen, all of those things that, any good leader really wants. Yes. But I've got to be able to extract that out of the person who I'm speaking with. So they feel good about having that conversation with me. And frankly, I want to be able to tell them the next steps as to what we can or can't do moving forward. Yes. So that was such a fascinating experience and really kind of shaped where I am now. Wow. So fast forward, my husband actually was transferred here to Dallas, January of 2019. I moved to Dallas, January of 2020. Okay. A really terrible time to move to a brand new community, that's for sure. So the first 18 to 24 months of living here was a little challenging.
Wasn't the pandemic hit like 2 months after you moved?
Yes, it sure did. 3 kids at home, doing homeschool and all. It was challenging. But nevertheless, when the world started opening up and I started meeting more people here in the Dallas area, started doing these trainings, developed the Leadership Lab, working on how to actually help firms, companies, organizations be able to help their people have conversations with their clients, with their colleagues. I mean, what we were missing, and I think the pandemic did a really terrible job of we lost that human connection. Yes. And so how to have meaningful conversations that really result in the outcome that you wish to have.
Yes. So. Okay, we're going to pull up her website, and as we scroll down the website, I want you to talk about some of your services. So, what is the Leadership Lab?
The Leadership Lab is essentially a culmination of all of the trainings and keynotes that I offer. So depending on whatever that company, that organization needs, we have a suite of services to be able to accomplish whatever it is the problem is. If you have certain people within your organization that, they're losing business, they're not having the conversations that they need to be having with their clients in order to get the results that they're looking for, or they're having turnover in their teams. I see that a lot right now. Is just People are losing really good people. And you said it earlier, but it's that people leave people, they don't leave companies.
Yes.
And so what's happening there? What's the breakdown?
Yes.
And that's where I come in, and let's talk about training your people on the DISC model is what I use, DISC. And it's a research-based tool to be able to help people understand what type of communicator that they are and how they might best be able to communicate better with people within their organizations.
Like, for instance, if I'm the boss and I'm talking to like an engineer type, they they want to know like how do you do it, right? They instantly move. They're like, if I'm the visionary and I'm talking to an engineer, I actually have to have a different conversation.
You do. It's almost like you have to speak a different language. Yeah. And so for that engineer, I work with a lot of accountants and people in finance, private equity, that kind of thing. And it's like they speak, I'm going to call it another language.
Right.
And when you're dealing with a C-suite or someone who is like, I need the bottom line, just give me the nuts and bolts. I don't want to read 55 pages of something or all the countless spreadsheets. You've got to be able to meet your client where they're at and give them what they need, or they're going to go find somebody else to go work with.
She's an amazing keynote speaker. She's very popular. We found her sizzle reel. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
So DISC profiles help improve your effectiveness in sales situations because, again, if you understand the type of person that you're talking with and can identify that person, we can cut to the chase really quick. Competence and warmth, and how you really have to have a balance of both in order to be a charismatic communicator. Just because these people like to have a good time doesn't mean that they're not serious about what they're doing as well, too. What about the thing that you're selling is going to benefit not just them, but everybody involved with that transaction? I've got to know who it is that I'm talking to and how are they going to best respond to me? Because at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's about you. And what can I do to serve you in this conversation?
Wow. Let's talk about finding your leadership style, because these days people watch like a Donald Trump figure who has a certain my way or the highway approach. That doesn't really play well with the Gen Zs.
It does not. No, it does not.
So part of your job is to soften if you're a dominant driver, not everybody in your company is going to go along with that.
Yeah, we got to I call it. We got to pour some butter on you. We got to soften you up a little bit. That's one question that I get quite a bit. Is I do work. In fact, a lot of the managing partners and C-suite level folks that I work with are considered the dominant style on the DISC. And what this means, they're extroverted. Okay, you can feel their presence when they walk into the room. They've got the broad shoulders and chin up. I mean, they come in with a commanding presence, right? And they're the types of people that walk in and at a table will say, okay, what are we here to discuss? What's on the agenda? Results, results, results. That's what I'm here to do. And that's so fantastic on so many levels. That's a reason why they are where they are. And also, you've got about 60 to 70% of your team who aren't that way. Right. And so again, I look at what I do is I'm helping people meet others where they are.
Beautiful.
That's how you really change the dial and move that needle, so to speak. And so we've got to be able to soften up. And if you're working with a team of people who is a little bit more reserved, who's a little bit, they're not the types to speak up in a meeting. Those are typically what I call my processors. They're processing information, and they need a beat to be able to figure out what it is that they're going to say next. Yes. And so what I want to be able to do is work with these C-suiters to go, okay, it's not that they don't have good ideas. Yes. They need a minute. Yes. And chances are, if you give them a minute and they do some research on it, they're going to come back with ideas and solutions that are probably even better than you would have ever dreamed of.
Yes.
So it's just meet them where they're at. And that helps.
It's absolutely brilliant. And I love the name of your book that's soon to be released. Let's go ahead and put the graphic on the screen. Hold the pineapple, please.
Yes.
Okay. Very provocative and tasty. So what does that mean?
Purposeful conversations that build better teams, bottom lines, and banana splits. There's a story here in the book. It's interesting. When I was a little girl, I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and my dad's dad, my grandpa Jay, and my dad and I, one Friday a month, would go to the local Dairy Queen down the street from the house, and we would split a banana split. And at the time, the dairy, and this was like early 80s or whatnot, and the banana split at the Dairy Queen came with pineapple topping, the cherry or strawberry topping, and the hot fudge. Yes. And we'd get this banana split, and I would always kind of poke around the pineapple. Pineapple on Sundays, like, no, not my thing. And Grandpa noticed this, and I remember one Friday, he asked me, he's like, "So Heather, what do you want on your Sunday?" And he had never really asked me that before. And I was just like, "Well, whatever you want." He was like, no, like, what do you want on your Sunday? I was like, Grandpa, like, whatever you want, it's all good. So I was like this tall, and he got down on my level, and he was like, I need for you to tell me what you want, because here's the thing. If you don't tell me what you want, you're not going to get it. Mm. And I find this so often with the leaders that I serve, is that having the hard conversations, telling somebody what you really want can be really hard to do. Yes. Right? Yes. And so, but if we don't, you're never going to get the outcome that you're looking for.
What a beautiful metaphor.
I mean, it's the truth. I mean, it's like I'm in countless trainings during the week. And when somebody pulls me aside and I need to talk to so-and-so about such and such, I'm like, have you had that? Have you talked to them already about this? Have you at least put it out there? I mean, and I would say 9 times out of 10, they haven't. And it's just like, oh, I haven't had the time. Don't really know what to say. I'm going to, pass it on. I'm like, well, that's, we got to put, in my house, we call it the moose on the table. Let's put the moose on the table. Let's talk about the thing that's really hard, and we got to put it out there in order to be able to solve the problem.
And I think these days the Gen Z actually wants a vote. They want
to be involved in the conversation. I mean, even when I was working in politics, it's like, I really did want people to be able to feel comfortable and confident to be able to tell me what was on their mind. I may not be able to solve their problem. And I would say probably 6 or 7 times out of 10, I couldn't, right? Wow. Because there's other key stakeholders involved at the table. It wasn't just me, or it wasn't just my boss, who was the elected official. But at the end of the day, it's like, if I can hear you, like, genuinely try to understand where you're coming from, genuinely hear what you have to say, and tell you what I feel like together, what those next steps might look like. Let me tell you, you're going to leave that meeting feeling a heck of a lot more confident, and like, I can come to you again. And that's what I want to help these leaders with, is just that.
Yes. I think you're absolutely brilliant. And I urge my audience to follow her on all her social media platforms, because she gives away the gold for free. It's beautiful. So she has endless tips. You can spend hours watching her different videos. I found one that I particularly like. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Have you ever worked with someone who is the biggest cheerleader for the team? They love the team. And they love the team at all costs, because they are also the biggest peacekeepers, and they avoid conflict at all costs. You know the types. Let's talk about what we can do to not take them personally. If you're like me, sometimes I get frustrated with these types because they don't speak up. And I'm like, I know you have something to say and you're not saying it. What's up? Have you ever felt that way? These types are called the steady relators. They are more reserved, but they're people as well too. And they have a very strong desire to keep things harmonious and balanced and collaborative, and really big team players as well. These types need a lot of time to process information and to make sure that everybody's voices are being heard as well too, okay? So just give them their space a little bit. Back up a notch. Their calm approach is about avoiding chaos. It is not criticizing your speed and desire to move fast on these projects. If you're working with this type, remind them that you value their opinion. And also, quick decisions are needed, okay? This will allow them to feel like you're being considerate of their space, and also clarity for the expectation.
I could watch you all day. I mean, truly, you're great on camera, and your pearls of wisdom are unparalleled. I applaud you because
a lot of experience. Holy cow.
let's talk about one of your favorite clients of all time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. So this just happened fairly recently, last fall. And so the executive that I was working with, dominant type on the disc, commanded the presence of a room. Italian New Yorker as well. So like just large and use the hands a lot. And he and I'd been working with his team, and he was talking with me about how he was having some issues with the CEO. And I knew that the CEO was someone who was, well, what we call a steady relator on the disc. So a little bit more reserved, a lot more reserved, and very people focused. Just didn't want to rock the boat. Just wanted to make sure that everybody was happy and all the things were good, right? And so my client, again, large and in charge, was having some conflict with the CEO, didn't think the CEO was making decisions as quickly as he would like to see them made. Of course, the dominant types like to make quick decisions and that kind of thing. And so he was like, okay, what do I need to do? Because I feel like the conversations I'm having with this guy really aren't going anywhere. And I was like, okay, I can tell you right now probably where the breakdown is. And it's like, I can feel like I can identify this stuff in 20 seconds. It doesn't take me long. He's such a large and in charge personality that he was intimidating to the CEO. Okay. And even though the CEO would never say that he was intimidated, I'm like, I want you to smile. I want you to talk about the team, not just about what you want, but what the team needs.
Yes.
Right?
Beautiful.
Let's talk about the people, because that is the trigger for the steady relator. It's the team, it's the people, it's the ensuring that everybody's voices are being heard. So we've got to address that, and whatever it is that you're messaging to him, that's got to be a part of it. It just can't be bottom line results. He cares about that, absolutely. And also he cares about the people.
Sure.
So we have to address the people side of this.
Many CEOs have blind spots because their team's not going to tell them how they're acting. And so sometimes you do need to bring in somebody like you to lovingly coach them in a different direction.
Lovingly coach. Lovingly, but being very direct and firm too. It's like, if you want to see this result happen, this is what you got to do.
Awesome. Okay, Heather, we got about a minute left. So look into the camera on the left and talk to that CEO or C-suiter who might need to engage you.
Yeah. So if some of these have resonated, these points that we've talked about have resonated with you, and you're like, I don't have the level of engagement with my team. We're not seeing the results that we want to see with the clients that we serve. There's a reason for that. And gosh, 95% of the time it's communication. It's some sort of communication breakdown. I urge you, just take a look at some of my content on LinkedIn. Take a look at my website, the Leadership Lab, heatherlisle.com. You'll learn a lot about what I do and how I can help. And I can promise you, with just a couple of trainings and working with your people one-on-one, we can make some serious changes in a very short amount of time as well, too.
Wow, I can see why you're so successful. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom with our audience. We're going to end with her website, which is, of course, heatherlisle.com, the great Heather Lisle. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.